It's time for another musical interlude. Let's get started. Talking with people with music in their genes, their blood, and in their soul. You are watching Musical Interlude. Hello and welcome to another episode of Musical Interlude. I am your host, Casey Bell, and today's guest is Nomad N3lson. Let's get the show started. What was your earliest age of remembering you discovering music?
Was my earliest age of me discovering music?
Yes.
Probably when I was very young, since my ears could work, probably. I was a 90s baby, so I grew up on that generation of music. So very familiar with the old tunes, I guess it is now. And then I was listening to a lot of old school hip hop and R&B, kind of what got me through the years.
Cool. When did you decide to make this a career?
When did I decide to make it a career? Um, so probably back in my early college days, um, one of my fraternity brothers was making music, and it was just something that kind of drew me into the music career aspect because I wanted to make music with him. He was very talented, and I basically was like, how can I do what you're doing? You know, it seems like you're having so much fun with the way that you are going about your music career, and I want to be able to do the same and be able to work with you in the future. So I think that's what really started it for me. So then I started writing more, and then I one goal after the next was like, how can I get a song out? Like, how do I have an artist for Spotify for artist account? And the first thing was to get a song out, and then after there, it kind of just started to pick up.
Well, you actually just answered my next question, which was how did you get started? How did you know about studio time and all that?
So I didn't at first. It kind of all came after I kind of completed one thing after the next. So it all started really as me just jotting down either phrases or things that would come to mind in my everyday life and the things that I would see and go through. And I would just write them down in my little notebook. And then as more and more of it started to accumulate, I was like, hey, like, let me try and make a song out of these, you know, instead of just writing down lines off of different beats and stuff. So I ended up finding one beat. My first song, Ride, it's out on all platforms. I ended up reaching out to somebody else that I knew that was making music. I was working in the tech crew at the time, and I was in charge of um, basically preparing their show for the school. Um, and he's a great artist, Meets the Outside. Um, be sure to go and listen to his music as well. And he ended up switching over from the musician side into the producing side. And I kind of just reached out to him and was like, hey, this is basically what I'm trying to do. Like, I'm trying to get a Spotify for artist account. Like, how do I do that? And he's like, first, you got to make a song. And I'm like, how do I do that? You know, and him being kind of already well um, progressed in his career, he knew how to make things work, and he was building his studio. So it kind of all fit into a puzzle that worked out.
Cool. So what inspired you to write and produce Sorry in Advance?
Sorry in Advance came from that person I was talking about earlier, my fraternity brother. His artist name is Sweet D the OG. Um, so it came from me wanting to get more music out because after the COVID situation was going on, my producer was actually not feeling too well, so I couldn't actually get my music produced and up to um, studio sound quality. Um, so I wanted to still let my fans know that I am making music and new things are coming out. So I reached out to some more producers in order to get some studio time so that way I could work on it. And one of the songs on the EP is called Soul Freestyle, that is featured with Sweet D, the OG. And the whole concept for Sorry in Advance is when I was going through, well, when COVID was happening, I was meditating a lot, going through a spiritual awakening, some may say. And it was kind of really eye-opening as I took a deeper look into what my feelings were and what was going on around in the world. And I wanted to let my fans know that what was going on was kind of in their faces, but I don't know if they decided to ignore it or if they were just happier not knowing. But I basically wanted to address the elephant in the room. So for the first song that's on Sorry in Advance, there's a lot of topics that I talk about with artists kind of glamorizing fancy cars or jewelry and things of that nature. And I was like, why are they doing that, and stuff like that? Because although, yeah, those things are nice and cool to have, but I feel like a lot of people don't understand the back end of things and how they're able to obtain all of these things and still be able to talk about them, or why they're even talking about them in the first place.
I like that concept. So,
Thank you.
speaking of the pandemic, when it first occurred and you realized you couldn't perform live as you used to, how did you change your thinking on performing, on marketing, on advertising, on your whole business? Because even though a lot of your business is in studio time, it's at home writing music, bulk of it is out
Mhm.
there performing. So what have you done to rethink music?
So I was getting into communication with some venues and trying to set up virtual shows. I was figuring out how I can bring the show to my audience instead of them coming to my shows. So then I ended up connecting with a few people, but they ended up, because of COVID, ended up getting back to me not too long ago. So I never actually got those set up, but I was lucky enough to connect with some people in some areas that weren't as heavily restricted with COVID, that were allowed to host small capacity shows. And then I was able to book those to kind of keep the flow of things moving.
Are you in the process of working on new music or a new album at the moment?
Yes, I am. I'm working on a few songs right now that I have to get recorded. I'm still working out some kinks in my delivery, but I'm going, after Sorry in Advance is out, I'm going to be releasing new music every Friday in May. So be on the lookout for that as well.
Nice, nice. With the experience you've had so far from being in the business, what advice would you give someone who's starting out?
Somebody that's starting out, I would say definitely don't look to see what your peers are doing. It can be discouraging at times if you are friends with different artists that are further progressed in their music career, that may have been doing things a little bit longer, or their delivery may be slightly better, or their wordplay or something like that. I would say to just keep working on your craft and keep pushing forward regardless of what you see around you, because if it's something that you truly appreciate as little more than just a hobby, or even just a hobby, and you want to try to make it more of your head focused career, I would definitely say to put on those blocker shades and have tunnel vision for what you are trying to do and the message you're trying to convey to your fans.
Thank you for that. So I only have
Yeah.
one more question for you. If you've
Okay.
had the opportunity to meet and collaborate with anyone in the music business, whether it's producer, musician, singer, writer, whether they're dead or alive, known or unknown, who would it be and why?
Ooh. So this question has always been tough for me because being in this music career, my kind of one goal was to network and meet as many musically talented people as possible, whether that be writers, producers, engineers, beat makers, other artists. I think that everybody has a talent, and I feel as though that some people aren't getting the exposure that they need, whereas you have these other big artists that are kind of being pushed by industry, marketing dollars and things like that. That, that's always great, but there are some fantastic people who are not as well known yet that I kind of want to get out there into the world and show the world that, like, hey, there's not only these mainstream artists that are here, there are other people that are just as talented that maybe need a little help in marketing, or something like that. So I think that we could kind of come up together in the same sense. But I also do have some idols that I appreciate their work and that have kind of gotten me through some tough times, and would love to work with them if I ever had the chance. So there would be J. Cole. Love his music, love his message, love his whole vision on music as a whole. I would also love to work with Russ. I love his music and how he is independent, and he's kind of doing things on his own. I would love to work with DJ Khaled at some point in the future. I know he's doing very well for himself, and the beats and production that he has is fantastic. So if that's ever a possibility, that's something I would love to do. And then of course there's, Drake, and then Kanye, and I would also want to work with Chance the Rapper. And then for people that aren't with us, I would love to work with Tupac or Biggie. I think that we would have made some great music, that they were pushing some great ideas into the world, and they ended up sticking. Nipsey Hussle, people of that kind of genre.
I play it, but I know how to play the game. And don't you hate when all the rappers just sound the same? And they ain't even talk about a damn thing. Fucking bitches killing thugs, man, what a damn shame. They pushing weight like they a bodybuilder, dressed up with their Instagram.
That is all the time we have for you today on Musical Interlude. I like to thank our guest, Nomad N3lson, for stopping on by. And of course, you as always, audience, thank you for viewing. Have a great day. Have a great week.